Hey guys, I've got some blacksmithing stuff to show you today. I kind of scored big time. I got lucky, and I'm gonna turn the camera around here and show you what I got. We'll start with the forge. The story on the forge is that it's a cavalry forge from back in the Civil War, and the cavalry would have hauled this around with them from camp to camp on a wagon, and then set it up there at the camp, and then the blacksmith would get to work repairing horseshoes and wagon parts, and I'm sure, you know, gun parts, cannon parts, that kind of thing. I don't have any kind of serial numbers or stamping of any kind that I can find on the forge itself, and the gentleman that I got it from, when he found it, it was sitting in someone's yard as a yard ornament. And the original legs were just a round pipe that came down, and then the foot swept out and flattened out, and that's what sat on the ground. Well, it had been sitting there for so long that those feet were about 6 inches into the ground and just rotted off. So he had to put some different legs. Basically, he made a stand for the forge to sit on, because the original legs were shot, which is sad, but you know, that happens a lot. It's just lucky that he was able to salvage the rest of it. The hand crank blower works great. Most of the original parts are there. The only thing that I don't have, I'll probably just make, is a tube that runs from the hand crank blower to the intake on the bottom of the forge. And what he had on there, it's over here, was a little electric blower with a foot switch and a baffle on it, and it looked like the hand crank blower was running it, but it was actually the little electric blower. So it's kind of neat the way he had it set up. And then he had it inside of a shop, so he made this hood that set on the back rim back here on the forge, and worked as his hood to draft the smoke out of the building. So here's that, and then this would be down like this. So that's how it would sit on the forge. And he just had had some brackets made where it just kind of sat on there, and then some bolts to keep it in place. So it's a pretty neat little setup, pretty crafty. But I'll get back to the forge here. So everything, like I said, is in pretty good condition. The coal pot or coal pan, you know, everything is in good shape. They did have some clay, some refractory clay around it, and coating the inside, you know, to protect all of that. And I chipped most of that off because it was already in rough shape and ready to be replaced, and I wanted to see the condition that the forge was in, so I went ahead and removed that, and I will replace that before I use this. But again, I just wanted to check it all out. And then this Workpiece Support right here just folds down, but it's got a slot made in the bottom of the forge right here, and it probably had some kind of a tool specifically for that, but you just slide it in there, and the farther you slide it in, the farther it pushes this bar up. So it works as a support for longer pieces across the forge. And you would be working the forge from right here. It would be from this side. You've got your hand crank blower right here on your left. So you'd crank, and then you'd have your right hand free to work your piece of metal. And then the tub over here is the quench tank. These are some of the tools that he had made that he used to mess with the coal. Just a couple little scrapers, pokers, and a little shovel. And then these tongs are all, I guess all I can really say is they're antique. Quite old, but still very functional. They're pitted, they're rusty, but they're, you know, very functional, very good shape. So I love those. They're just, that's just incredible to me. But these two on the end have been modified. They've got some pieces welded onto them, so they'll hold, you know, different size stock and everything. Nothing wrong with that. A couple hammers here. I don't know the weight. Don't really know who made them or anything like that. This one has a stamp on it. Let's see if I can get it to focus. And there we go. Now maybe you guys can tell what that says. I'm going to get a magnifying glass and maybe see if I can get a better look at that. Try to get an idea. There's a number on it. I think I'm actually looking at it upside down, but or at least the number looks upside down. But I'm guessing those are about a 2.5 pound hammer. And then this one, he had a background story on this one. He told me that this one came from a New York City subway system, and they used it back in the 20s and 30s and 40s working on the subway system. And there's actually a stamp. If this is original, that's pretty freaking cool. New York City Subway, NYCS. So other than that, there's a USA, I believe that's a USA stamp of some kind right there. Look at it like this. But there again, can't really tell. It's got a lot of wear and tear on it. And other than that, it's got a B stamped on both sides. And the B is obviously newer, so I'd say that was somebody saying, hey, you know, this is my hammer, it's got my initial on it, kind of thing. But anyway, so a couple of hammers that came with. And the blower does have some identification on it, and it's even got a number, so it might help me identify what I've got here. But there's the number, 24800. The lettering and everything on it, it's Royal, letter H, and then down here it says Western Chief. Again, no dates or anything like that, but then on the other side, it has where it was made. It's the Kennedy Auto Manufacturing Company, Chicago Heights, Illinois, USA. So that's the information that I've got on the blower. If the blower is original to the forge, which he thinks it is, he's pretty sure it was because that's how he found it, then you know, maybe that would give some insight into how old it might be. But anyway, it's pretty cool. I'm pretty excited about this. I can't wait to get the hose made, or the pipe made, get it hooked up and do some forging with this thing. So the next thing is the anvil, and the anvil I'm pretty excited about. I haven't looked up to see what the weight is. You know, they do these anvils in stone weight, and so I've got to look up the numbers to see what the stone weight is, but I'm going to guess 120, 130, somewhere in that neighborhood on weight. But this is a really good shape. I mean, it's got a few little dings on the top of the shoulders, but other than that, this thing is in excellent shape. It's a Peter Wright, patent England. It's a M solid wrought, so I guess solid wrought iron. And it's the numbers, as you can see, 0327. So I've got to look up those numbers and see. That tells you the weight. I think it also tells you the age or the year. So I need to look that up and see what I can figure out. And for you guys that might know that off the top of your head or have more experience with this than I do, by all means, you know, put in the comments what you know or what you can come up with about this stuff. You know, I'm very interested in the history and the background on all the blacksmithing stuff that I have. I think that's some of the coolest parts about blacksmithing is the heritage and the story behind all of it. So the stump, obviously he carved that out himself and set that up. And this guy is tall. I mean, very tall. He's probably a good foot and a half taller than me. He's well over 6 foot. and just a giant. So this anvil sets up quite a bit higher than I would have mine. Actually, standing beside it with my knuckles resting, my knuckles almost rest on the stump. So it's about anvil height higher than I would have it for working. But for him, it was actually the right height. So it makes me feel like a short stuff. But anyway, there's a big wooden Thor's hammer on there, and there's a plate laying on the ground right there that he made that fits over the top of the anvil, so he can do chisel work and stuff without messing up the face on the anvil. And so pretty cool. But like I said, you know, if you guys have any kind of information at all on what that anvil weighs or when it was made, you know, anything like that, I'd be interested to know. So it's something I'm going to look up, but I just haven't done yet. I literally just got this stuff out and started cleaning it up and oiling it up a little bit, just kind of get everything where I can see what I've got. So that's the anvil. Then behind the anvil over here, I have two barrels. One barrel is half full of green coal, and the other barrel is completely full of coke, ready to forge. The half barrel that's laying, the half metal barrel that's laying on top of that, was actually a heat shield that he had behind the vent hood that he had. So he had this half barrel behind that as a heat shield between that and the wall. Now on top of that, there's some tools here. I think he made all of these except maybe the Hardy cutoff tool. I believe he might have purchased that, or it might have come with the anvil when he got it. But there's a slag hammer that he made, a couple of ball-shaped Hardy tools, and then this mandrel-shaped Hardy tool, which I really like. I could see that being really handy. And then this axe he cut with a torch out of a grater blade. It's 1/2 inch thick grater blade, and that's as far as he got with it. He was gonna clean it up and heat treat it and all that stuff. You know, put a better handle on it. And he said, if you want that, you can finish it up. So so he threw that in there. But those are the Hardy tools that came with it. And then again, he threw that apron in. He threw a quench bucket in. Just a bunch of stuff. I mean, he started loading me up when I got there, and then he told me when I was finishing up loading, he said, whenever you're ready to come back, he said, I'll load you up again. So so he's a pretty cool guy. Had a lot of information to pass on. These are the post vices. The post vise in the back was the one that came with what I bought, and then he just threw this one in while I was there. It's a different style, and it has, let's see, what does it say on it? Chicago Heights, Illinois, or Chicago Heights, ILL, and Cole Tool Manufacturing. It says right there. So that's the information that's on that post vise. And again, it's a different style. I haven't used this style of vise before, so I'm kind of interested to see how it works. And then this is a Iron City post vise, and it's in excellent shape. I mean, all the parts are there. I don't think it's super old, old enough, but anyways, it's in excellent shape. I think it's about a 3 or 4 inch jaw. This stuff is just really interesting to me. I have fun playing around with it in the fall and the winter when I get to do some forging. And I love to find out the history and the background on all of this. What I think is really neat and what I really like about this setup is that it's like a full outside setup. You could just roll this out of the back of your wagon, you know, or a trailer or whatever, and just have a full setup out in the middle of a field somewhere, not even have to have electricity or anything like that to set your forge up and go to work. But anyway, I love the story on this kind of stuff, and he definitely had some stories to tell. So anyway, if you guys have any information at all, by all means, put it in the comments, let me know, and I'll give you some updates whenever I get a chance to play with it a little bit more. Thanks for watching, guys.